everyone to season 2, episode 7 of the What You're Thinking podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Vince.
And today we have another interesting show for you. We're going to discuss whether there's a light at the end of the tunnel for COVID, which it's looking like this past week. Ted Cruz peacing out and going to Cancun amidst the whole freeze over in Texas. And whether raising a Theybies does more harm than good. So let's get right into it. So for the hit, the breaks, or carry on, first topic, I wanted to highlight something that was going on this past week. So right now we're at 1.6 million daily doses of the COVID vaccine being administered. So that's good. But also cases, deaths, and hospitalizations have all fallen in the last week. So it looks like there's like a light at the end of the tunnel. This has been a really long 11 months now. So it's like, it's good to hear that. But did you want to hit the brakes on that or carry on?
We can hit the brakes on that for a little bit. I feel like now, obviously we're about to hit March 15th, which will be the 1-year anniversary of when COVID first went public officially.
All right.
And just thinking about where we come from with this entire virus and where we are now, I would say that making progress is inevitable at this point. So as far as the vaccine goes, I'm still a little mixy on that, but I do believe that with time we'll have the results that we're looking for. Because you have to remember, it's like buying a new car, a car that came out this year for the first time. After a couple of years, when people start driving it, then we're going to realize if it has issues or not, or if it's reliable or not. As far as this vaccine goes, I just give it a few months to a few years to see if it actually does or lives up to the name that we're trying to give it right now. But I would say it's safe to say that things are looking up. It's not like this is the 1980s where DNA and finding DNA and understanding it was something that was up and coming for like investigations for the cops. We have technology now. We have resources. We have, for the animal world, I don't mean any harm with this, but we do have they have animals that they test these things on. I'm not sure if they did it for the vaccine, but in certain instances, we do have tests that are done on animals. So I feel like now we definitely have like all the resources that we need to make sure that something is effective and can definitely take care of this virus for us. What are your views on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. To go off of what the hesitancy about like the vaccine and everything, like I think I said this before, but like it's totally understandable. I mean, when you look at the Tuskegee thing, but just in general, like for especially people of color to have a distrust within the health system, it's definitely valid. I would say though that for people I know, like in the medical field, I had a cousin that was working in the pharmacy industry, and he was just saying how like rigorous the testing is in order for something to even be passed. So I think the fact that it's passed is trustworthy, and it's not like just people of color getting it. The fact that everyone's getting it, like that, makes me feel a little more comfortable too. So, as soon as it's available to me, I'm going to get it when our tier opens up. But I also wanted to point out something that was interesting. So now if you watch all the news, like all they're talking about is like the herd immunity. And that's meaning like 80% of the population gets it. And once we reach that, then we can start to like go like fall back in terms of like the tight restrictions and health and safety protocols and all that. So I think once we get there, that'll be such a huge achievement considering how far we've come with it. But they said, since right now we're at 1.6 million doses a day, if we keep that up, that means we'll reach herd immunity by mid-December. If we up it to 2 million a day, it'll be mid-October. If we up it to 3 million a day, it'll be the end of July. And then this would obviously the last one is a shot in the dark, but if we up it to 5 million a day, it would be by the end of May this year we would reach herd immunity. So, when we reach it, it's not as important as if we reach it. Of course, I think 20% is pretty fair. I don't know how they came up with this number, but I think 20% is a pretty fair number to say that that's going to be the anti-vaxxers that are just don't want to get it, fighting it every step, every which way. So I think that's something to look forward to, especially if you see the numbers falling. And then also news came out last week that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines protect against the variants as well, which is what they feared at first. They also feared that it would be like the vaccine would just make it so you don't die from it. But then other stuff came out saying that not only will you not die from it or less likely to die from it, but that you won't even be able to transmit it through that. So I think these are all great things because I feel like in that sense, they kind of made us fear at first. And then they found out like, okay, this actually is going to protect you against these other ones too. I'd rather be this way than the opposite, than them saying we're good and then they're saying like, oh, actually, it's not going to help. So I think that's good for sure. That's all I have to say on that, though. And so the second topic I want to talk about is something that just really caught my eye, but I didn't even know was out there as a news story, and that's that cancer rates, they've dropped significantly to a record yearly low because of this new treatment that they have for lung cancer, which is the number one type of cancer that people get. So I want to know, do you want to hit the brakes or do you want to carry on that one?
I'll carry on from that.
Okay. So I'll just say it dropped 2.4% from 2017 to 2018. So it's been significantly dropping since 91 when the mortality rates reached the peak. It's dropped 31% since then. So I think that just goes to show, like the vaccine we were talking about, where these technological medical advancements, it's like really showing itself, and something to give hope to, I think, for sure. Because I personally lost my great grandfather when I was 7 years old. He died from lung cancer too. So like that always hits home for me, just because like that's one thing that we can't seem to beat like yet. So it's cool when I hear stuff like this that that's progressive. So the next hit the brakes and carry on topic I want to talk about is something everyone was talking about this week, and that's Senator Ted Cruz in Texas. For those who don't know, I mean, you'd have to live under a rock to not know, but Texas has been really going through it. They were without power, water, all those types of things. It was freezing. They had snow, and that's not likely, that's not common for Texas, but global warming, I mean, I personally believe in it. So Texas has been going through it, and amidst that crisis, Ted Cruz was seen in an airport going to Cancun while so many people were without power and resources. Did you want to hit the brakes? Or you want to carry on that one?
I feel like we can hit the brakes on that for a little bit. It kind of shows the problems that are burrowed within politics, even though we, they try to paint the picture that everything is gonna be changed and we're headed where we need to be headed. It's just whenever these kinds of situations happen, it's like we just miss the footing altogether as far as priorities. As far as taking trips, I mean, the guy can take a trip at any time during the year that he wants to do it. This particular time, especially with his timing, it was just absurd, because once again we have a group of individuals who are in a crazy situation. They're in need of the government on top of COVID going on top of a change in the White House, on top of all these numerous changes, and you pack your bags and you go on vacation. It's just baffling. It's puzzling at the same time, and it kind of makes you wonder, as an American citizen, what's really going on. What's really the primary priority here? If you check back with the media and you look at all the organizations that, so let's take a moment. Let's go back to when Black Lives Matter protests were happening and everything was happening, like that central time. Whenever an organization was biased by it, it's like they were slandered in the media. They went back and forth, and then eventually, the stock was affected from that company. The employees were talking about it, and it just went to shit. Excuse my language. Yeah. And then it's just that entire time, I just noticed a trend in organizations. It's like a CEO went on Twitter, he said the wrong thing, like CrossFit, for example. The CEO went on Twitter, he happened to say the wrong thing, and then his reputation was done for. He started losing memberships, etc., and then the list continues. So channeling back to what was going on now with this senator, it's like, do you not think about your reputation? Do you not think about what your future? Do you not think about like how people are going to view that, especially with what's going on? Right. I just feel like even though in his mind he might feel like it's something that he wanted to do, something that he had planned, he probably already booked a ticket from November. I feel like if you're in that setting, if you're in that chair, if you're representing what you represent, you need to realize what's going on. You need to realize what's current, and you need to realize that maybe this might not be the right time for me to go and do this. Because now look at it. He's literally the star of the news. He's the star of every story, and people are suffering. And it's unfortunate, and it's something that I feel like it needs to stop. People need to realize what's going on, get with the program, and align with the program, because the last thing you want to do is be a senator who did this around this particular time. How do you feel about it?
The timing is just off. Like I'm just gonna say, like, the timing is off, man. It's just common sense. It's like they say, common sense ain't that common. Like, this is another example of that. It's not. Because what in your right mind would think in this day and age with camera phones, all that you're gonna go off to Cancun while people in your state that you're a senator of are struggling without power, freezing, and I'm sure to some extent dying too. And on top of that, we're in a pandemic. It just looks bad. I mean, I wrote down how it's like it's equivalent to Bush, sending choppers in to save the rich during Hurricane Katrina. I think
Yeah.
Lil Wayne spoke on that too, and Robin Thicke and everything. It's also like, I put this on Facebook, but like it's equal to Captain Smith. If he was on the captain of the Titanic, right? Imagine if he
Yeah.
had a chopper come in to save him and him by himself, like how that would look. Like, it's just a
He'd be
bad
better
thing
off
that
dead.
you don't want to. Yeah, like you just can't do that. This is just another example of the privilege not caring. I'm not saying 100% of all privileged people don't care or heartless, nothing like that. But there's a lot of examples where someone in a privileged position just doesn't care if they're not affected by things. Another example of that is with the stimulus package that we've talked about extensively, where it's like, for months they weren't even trying to give a second stimulus package, where it's like, and then I think it was in August, they went on their like summer vacation and they were like, well, we'll come back and revisit this in September.
Yeah.
Now, clearly we're in a pandemic. Some people are losing their homes. Some people have 3, 4, 5 mouths to feed because they have kids or just themselves that they can't afford to pay rent. And they're going to go on vacation and then be like, yeah, we haven't come to a number yet that we want to give the American people. But yet they're sworn into office to, put the American people first. So it's like, it's just a shame that, these people are in there and don't have the hearts to match the bill, for what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Do you have anything else? Or?
I mean, just to sum it up, it's everything you said is true. It's 100% true. It shouldn't be the American people who are doing things that the administrators should be doing. Like, for example, there was a plumber out in Morristown, New Jersey, who bought $2,000 worth of like piping and goods, packed his baby in the back seat, took his wife, hopped in the Ford F-150, and then drove all the way to Texas. It shouldn't be people. It shouldn't be citizens doing stuff like that. It should be the government, willing to do stuff like this. This guy literally drove all the way to Texas with his family, and he put these houses back together for these strangers. He went from house to house, door to door, and he helped them restore their piping. I'm sure you saw like on the videos on Instagram where, certain homes were destroyed, like the pipes burst from all the pressure, and then the entire house is flooded. So for someone to do that, shout out to him for coming all the way from Morristown, New Jersey, to go all the way to Texas, like driving a vehicle and accomplishing that. Right. Because it seems like the government just doesn't care in times where it should. Like you said, it's like during the entire stimulus period, it's like, why are we putting this off? We don't put our taxes off. We don't put anything that the government needs from us off. So why are we being put less? Why are we being put last? Why is the the 1%, which isn't everyone, why are they the ones who are getting spoon fed and everyone else is just like, if you get it, you get it. It's like that system needs to stop. That system that literally messed up the country and split everyone up, and it needs to go away and it needs to stop. And it's unfortunately it's going to stop with the leaders, because a leader can lead, but it's up to the people to follow the leader. And a lot of everyone, mainly, if you really want to speak facts, mainly individuals are watching the leader. They're watching the leaders and what they're doing, and they're going off of that. That's how you build a reputation. That's how you give people something to aim for. But if you continue doing like for example, with Trump, everything we spoke about the last time, white supremacists, everything that was happening. I don't mean to get off topic, but they're following the leader. This guy, he spoke down on everyone, and he only cared about like the stock market or the 1% or those businesses that were still booming during the pandemic, even when it first began. This guy was sponsoring all of it, so everyone was just following the leader. That's why everything that happened at the Capitol happened, and that's why these people literally lost their minds. They lost the leader that they were following, and now as a result, they have to snap back into it. They have to snap back into their daily grind, snap back into not seeing the president on TMZ or the news every second of the day because he's just doing stupid stuff, and they have to snap back into what's expected of them while being American citizens. So yeah, that's all I
Hmm.
had to add to that.
And just to piggyback off of that, with the Trump thing is like, oh, yeah, they're definitely following the leader, and that's why it's so crucial that we needed the majority to impeach him for a second time, but they didn't do it.
That's true.
They fell 10 votes short of doing that. So now this guy can run again, and he's talking about running again. So that's, I mean, I'm not looking forward to the next 12 years having anxiety every 4 years to think about this guy running again, but
Honestly,
that's what it's looking like. But to also go off of that, it's like that is the fact that people like Senator Cruz can be in that position and clearly not put the people first is the perfect example of why I always say you got to vote small. It's not people. Some people don't. Whenever the only time they hear politics is when it's time to vote for president. You have to vote within your community, your town, your state, your county, all that. Vote small because that puts the people in position that can really affect your present and your future. But yeah, that's
that's
all I
true.
want to say on that. The next hit the brakes to carry on topic. I wanted to talk about this Cam Newton video that went viral this past week, where this kid at his own camp, at Cam Newton's camp, was mouthing off at him in a very disrespectful way. I have a lot to say about that, but did you want to hit the brakes or you want to carry on that?
Me personally, I'll carry on from it, but I'm willing to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay. So yeah, this video went viral. He basically, so Cam Newton, he's won the Super Bowl MVP. I mean, not Super Bowl MVP. He's won a regular season MVP. He's been to the Super Bowl. He is one of those like trailblazers in terms of people that is a mobile quarterback, even though now that's more commonplace.
Yeah,
He's known as a freak athlete, just a total freak athlete. But he was injured for a couple seasons, so he didn't really play like that. And then he got picked up by the New England Patriots this year in their first season without Tom Brady. And he didn't have that great of a statistical year. I forget his actual stats, but he didn't have that great of a statistical year. So he was at his camp that he sponsors, that he pays for, and this disrespectful high school kid mouthed off at him, basically calling him trash and saying, "You're gonna be a free agent," because he is a free agent right now. He's like, "You're about to be poor," and because Cam Newton's first response is, "I'm rich. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Where's your father at?" And some
yeah,
people took offense to that, but that's a separate issue. Then he talked to him later. He pulled him to the side, and they had a respectful conversation. And that was that went viral too, which is good because he was the bigger person. But it's just sad to see, man, because it just goes to show where the state of where kids are at today. I know we always say this, but I mean, you and I are very different. I feel like even though we were disciplined well, I feel like in general, people in our generation wouldn't have mouthed off to some NFL player that's experienced being on the highest level of success
yeah.
with the Super Bowl and winning MVP. We wouldn't have mouthed off like that. I feel like even people that weren't as respectful as you and I wouldn't have mouthed off like that. So it's just a bad look, man. It's like kids don't have respect these days. You should want you're literally at the camp that he pays for, and your parents had to spend money to send you to this camp, and you going mouth off to him. Like, how does that even logically make sense? And so there was an interesting topic that people were talking about. Stephen A. Smith actually spoke about it on First Take, where he said, like, if that was my kid, oh man, I would have hit him upside his head. And I was like, me too, like without any hesitation. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
if that's my kid and it's going viral for being disrespectful, now it's a bad reflection on me. It's a bad reflection on them. It's just bad all the way around. But so that's how personally I would physically discipline my child, or at the very least, for 2 months, which would make it really hard for him. But oh well, I would take away everything that he enjoyed to spend his free time with. He would be reading books. He'd have been the biggest scholar of the year by the time he was done with my punishments, because that's just so embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. And
But yeah, all right. So
I mean,
sorry,
just to piggyback on that a little bit, it's yeah, these kids are out of line nowadays. They don't have. I mean, I think parents are afraid, I guess, because if your kid gets hit and then I mean, you could lose your child, obviously, but just because you can't beat your child doesn't mean you don't discipline your child at all. Like, a lot of these parents,
right?
they discipline their child lightly, and then they expect the child to just be like the best kid in the world with no problems. You know, we change every single day. Even now, like, as old as we are, we're still changing. Like, as the years go on. When you're younger, your mind is developing. So things that might not be right that you feel are right, you still need someone to tell you, like, hey, dude, like, this isn't right. Or, like, if you're a kid and you're playing video games all day, you're not doing your homework, you're not doing anything, you need someone to step in and say, hey, you need to learn time management. Like, when you're that age, like, certain things are vital. Certain things you have to hear. Even when you turn like 16, 17, 18, where you feel like you don't want to hear a word anyone has to say, like, you know everything about the world, like,
Yeah,
you know,
facts.
it's it's me versus you, like in every single conversation. Even when you get to that point, like parents, even when you see that your kid is at that point, you still need to step in and say something, because if it's weird to you or irregular to you, and then that second, like the second you stop and you talk to that child and you make them realize that the way, like, their mindset needs to be changed ASAP is vital. Like that's gonna stop you from having a viral moment like that where your entire name is embarrassed. It's gonna stop someone from egging your house every day just because, you know, they're like the biggest fan and they don't like what your kid did. You know, so parents need to just they need to step in a lot more, because these kids are wild, man. Like parents need to step in and do something, because it's getting crazy. Everyone's doing anything to get, that kid was probably trying to do that to get viral. I mean, he got viral in the wrong way, exactly. But like, you know, stuff like this, it goes into something else, and like the kid might want to end up taking his life, or, you know, you just, it's just the domino effect.
He issued an apology, but who knows how authentic that was.
Yeah, no one's gonna take that. It's a domino effect at this point for him. You know, I feel sorry for him, because he wasn't thinking. He didn't think before he did what he did. But it's he, you know, this could have been avoided if his parents just spoke to him and let him know you can't run off your mouth like that.
Right, because for him to even think that's okay is what the problem is. But up to that point, he probably hasn't been disciplined the right way, which is why he didn't see any problem with it. But so that's all I have to say on that. Then the last hit the brakes carry on topic I want to discuss is, so Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, usually in the news for a lot of different things, what he says on his radio show that he has, and his mishandling of the Cowboys because they haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 90s. But this time it's something, he's in the news for something different. So he has a gas company as well, and he's been raising the prices, cashing in on the pandemic. I want to know if you want to hit the brakes or carry on that.
We can hit the brakes on that. So that kind of just goes to show, I mean, it's just another example of someone abusing power, because like back on what we said a few topics ago, it seems like the 1% or people in that position only see the 1% or what they're used to. You know, at the end of the day, like, all right, let's say the pandemic never happened and things were how they were before. You saw how it was when you got on 24. If you had to go from like Morristown to Jersey, like if you got off work at like 4:30, you're not getting home till like 6:30, and it's a 30-minute drive. It's supposed to be a 30-minute drive. The majority of the individuals on the road with you are the average consumer. Like, these are the people who stop at Short Hills Mall. They buy out everything that they see. These are the people who are the reason why McDonald's is still doing good, Popeyes, whatever. Every food chain, every major retail establishment, every gas station. So for him to do something like that, that means that he doesn't care about the people I just named, like the people that I just represented for. And if you're gonna own something like a gas company and do something like that, even with everything that you know is happening in Texas with the pandemic on top of that, then like you need to just shut down your organization completely, because you obviously you literally do not care about the people who are taking care of you. These people go to work every single day, even when they don't have it. They have to have it because a car needs to run with gasoline. You have no choice. So
it's a necessity.
It's like, dude, if I had $10 and like I was gonna meet up with somebody, I'm probably gonna put $5 in the tank so I could at least have $5 to get a piece of pizza to chill that. So it's like, you know, you can't avoid not putting gas in your vehicle unless you want to look stupid. So, you know, with the facts being there, for him knowing what's happening, because he's not blind, he can see everything that's happening. It just goes to show that, you know, that was very immoral, and it is selfish. You know, you're doing good the entire pandemic. You have something that people need, and then you're gonna put the price up, especially after everything that you know that's happening. Like that to me, that's just crazy. And people need to stop abusing their power. I mean, I get it. Like if me and you came from a home where our parents were making millions of dollars a year, we wouldn't really feel like the pain that a lot of people feel, or like we wouldn't really we would say, what pandemic? Like we wouldn't really be worried about that. But it's just the awareness. Like you can turn the TV on, you can go on Instagram, you can see like what's happening, you can see what people are going through. So it's like, why would you do something like that? You know, that's what I have to say about that.
You hit the nail on the head. Like you said, it's immoral. It's just, I mean, you would think just someone that's morally sound is not going to do something like that, but he's driven by money. So you know he's that type of person that's driven by money and by profit. So it's not surprising, but it's just disappointing. But that's like a lot of things in life. But it's just disappointing more than anything. I mean, I know I've said it a bunch of times on the show, but that's why since the pandemic's happened, there's 56 new billionaires in the world. Like, because they're cashing in on people being in a vulnerable state and not being able to, have that capital for themselves. So, he figures gas is a necessity, like we said before, and that's that. And to go back to the example you used, where it's like if you have $10, like you can be going to work every day, and simple as this, like if you have $10 to put gas in the car for the week, then you don't have no lunch money. You're just gonna make it do what it do, like what you have, because you literally need gas. Otherwise, you're gonna be on the highway sitting next to a car that's not moving. So it's sad to see that he's doing this, but at the end of the day, that's how some people move. The rich, they only see the bottom line, so that's what it comes down to. And not all rich people. Some rich people do give back significantly, they're very philanthropic. But when you see examples like this, it's just sad to see.
Yeah,
But
it's very sad.
that's all to say on that. And for our what in the world topic is pretty interesting today, because so 2 girls dressed as old ladies for the vaccine. I believe this was in Orange County in Florida, I believe.
It happened in Florida.
I thought that was just so that's not surprising. I'm pretty sure it was Florida. Even if it wasn't, though, still, like, if you're young and you think to do this, immoral is an understatement. Like, you literally could be getting it when 2 older people that literally need it are more susceptible to this nasty virus can get it. You think I'm gonna skip the line and get it. Now, I don't know how people move like that and not think about the consequences, because I would feel like that's going to come back on me if I were to do something like that. Because it's like, if for you to go, and because they got the first set, so this was the second set that they were going to get. So you were about to successfully get 100% of this vaccine and skipping ahead of people that really need it. Because for them to even give it, you had to register. Like, this isn't something you could just be walking down the street like, oh, I don't have a vaccine, let me get it. Like, you have to register. So that means you took the slots of two people that need it, actually, based off of the tier that they're in, them being in priority getting it before younger people. And they go and do this. Like, it's just crazy to me, but obviously that's why it's the what in the world topic. But what do you think about it?
I feel like they need to get kicked by a horse. Because like for you to do that, first of all, you probably need to get a fake ID. You probably need to fake your entire life at that point. And like going as far as changing your entire swag to look like a granny, like that's to me, that's just crazy. Like, how do you have time to do that?
Right.
But
you committed.
But it goes back to morals and ethics of the individual. Like, it's all over the place nowadays. And it goes back to what we said before about like that kid that was on that camp yelling at the football player. It's like these parents, they need to step in and do stuff when they can. So when their kid gets older, to blend in with society and make sense of society or make sense within society, they don't do stupid stuff like that. I feel like this literally falls on the parents. Like, if that kid was growing up and their parents literally told him like, hey, you need to have a heart for people who actually need stuff, people who are actually suffering or whatever, they would try to, like, literally, instead of doing stuff like that, they'll probably help the old people get to the vaccine, speed up the line a little bit so that they can get their vaccine or something. Right. But for them to do that, I feel like it's speaking on their character. It's speaking on like what's important to them, which is literally watching other people suffer while they live, which is pretty selfish because you're young, you have a higher. I mean, the numbers, I don't know, the data is a little is floppy. Some days you hear that if you're young you're good. Some days you also hear that the younger are more susceptible to it. Obviously, with that fact, it goes to say that when you're younger, you're gonna want to be in a more social setting as opposed to like the older crowd. But whatever, for them to do something like that, to me, I just feel like it's them going over the top, putting in a lot of work to do something like that. They could have they could have taken that same energy and put it towards something more positive. But the fact that they didn't, they failed everyone. They failed their family, they failed themselves, and it's just unfortunate that happened in Florida. But it's just crazy. It's sad and it's crazy.
Right. I didn't even think about it like that when you said it does directly reflect the parents, because I feel like, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it's very true. I feel like a lot of crazy things that happen today are because somebody wasn't raised right. Like there was this I think it was a tweet or a meme, and people use it often now where like they just switch it to whatever a situation they're talking about, where it's like, this was true for you and it shows, right? So it's that same mentality here where it's like, you weren't raised right, and it shows. And people these days give millions of reasons why it shows because they just out here acting wild. But yeah, just
Yeah.
wanted to say that real quick before we ended
Yeah,
that one.
and they're also looking for someone to blame as well. So that's kind of like where it factors into. And I don't mean to get off topic, but it's like a story that's trending right now. So basically, the game Grand Theft Auto is hanging by a thread because a Chicago politician is basically trying to link it to carjackings and like
They've been trying to do that for years.
regular Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, so he's trying to do it again.
Yeah.
But this time he's basically trying to say that it has a psychological effect on individuals, and he's basically saying that people who commit these crimes. So he's basically saying the crimes that are committed are literally similar to what happens in the video game. So he's trying to kind of stop like any game that has anything to do with violence or mature content. He's not only trying to stop it from getting in the hands of younger kids, but he's just trying to shut it down completely. Like I said, man, it's all about what happens at home. When I was young and I used to play video games like that in front of my mom, even though she was probably dead serious, I know she was playing, but she would say literally like, you better not go out there and do the nonsense I see you doing in that game, you know. But it's just like, in my mind, I got defensive because I'm just like, why the hell would I go out there and do this? But but at the same time, even though she did that and she got that response from me, that was me being aware of what was going on. That was me in my mind like, bro, what the hell do I look like doing this? How the hell am I going to pull up? How am I going to see someone at a stoplight, pull their door open, pull them out the car and drive the car? Like what am I doing?
Just scare, so, like nothing happened.
Yeah, like that's wild. But it's like, for the parents that are listening, like it takes those things you do in those split seconds to literally like reroute your kid. Because like I said, in that particular moment, in my mind, I'm like, why the hell would I do that? Why would she even say that? Like, she killed my whole shit. Like, I didn't want to play the game anymore after that, because it's just like, why would I do that? You know, so if you put your child in those kinds of situations, or like someone you're trying to help, like for example, these girls that did what they did, if they had that friend that could have been like, you guys are dressed up as old ladies, you guys have fake IDs, what are you doing? What's happening? Like, if they had a friend that could literally talk to them like that and make them realize, like,
to check them,
like, bro, we look ridiculous. Let's go home and change the fit real quick, and maybe go to a bar and be sad because we can't get our vaccine right now. Like if they had a friend that could have did that for them, like, boom, the whole situation would have been avoided. They would have made more sense out of their day, out of their time, and an older couple would have got their vaccine when they needed to. Like, boom, that's it.
Simple as that. It's funny what you said about the Grand Theft Auto thing, because it's like, yeah, your mom played a huge role right there in your thinking process by her just saying, like, you better not go out and do that. Because I think on average, like, I don't know, I'm gonna throw a number out there. Probably like 90% of people that play that game are not going to go and do what they've done in that game. But for that 10% that might, their mom saying, now, just in case you get any ideas, don't think you're going to do what you're doing in this game in real life. For that 10%, it may be worthy. But, you know, it just goes to show how it's funny, because, like, so one of my favorite movies is Scream. And the killer at the end, his name is Billy Loomis. He said, it's kind of like with horror movies, a similar thing. People like to say, oh, people commit murders and get violent because of horror movies. He said horror movies don't make people crazy. Horror movies make crazy people more creative. You know? Now, I mean, the fact that someone's crazy, you don't want to egg that on and have them do something. But you can't just shut something down like a video game or like a whole horror movie genre because of your correlation, your proposed correlation behind it, when that's not the case.
Yeah, like,
that's all I had to say on that.
It all factors into, I mean, I'm not going to say it's sick and it's twisted, but it all factors into human nature. You know, for example, if you saw like a Maserati Gran Turismo drive past you, you're going to be like, damn, I need to get that car one day. Like that car driving past you is going to put it in your mind and motivate you to see that vision. So someone who's like you said, someone who watches a horror movie who's already thinking like that, if they see something that they were probably most likely thinking about, or like a scenario they were thinking about happen in front of them in this movie, it's going to be like what's her name, Raven Simone getting a vision. It's gonna be like, damn, like I could really do this. Like this is what was missing from my puzzle. So,
all right,
you know, it's all about how, like, one, like someone, like if someone's been aware of something and they're forced to kind of forced to change how they think about it, and it also goes to what motivates them, what what scenario that they're being placed in where they could get the idea in their head to complete that messed up thought or ideology. So it goes hand in hand.
So what do you have for your hear me out topic today, Vince?
So for my hear me out topic, I have does raising a baby do more harm than good? So for those who don't know,
public, what's a Theyby?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, a Theyby is basically when you have a kid, you have a baby, I should say, and you don't call it a baby. You call it a Theyby because you don't want to basically put out if it's a male or a female. You want the kid to basically decide. So what some families are doing, which is a little crazy to me, everyone has their own opinion. They're basically giving the Theyby the opportunity to label its sex when they reach about like 4 years old, and in their mind this is kind of taking this is taking the psychological pressure of society off of their minds and allowing them to grow up and be kids. How I feel about it, I feel like it's doing more harm than good, and like I said, everyone has their own opinion. People can be biased to how I feel about it. But I personally feel like it's important for someone to, like, if you're a boy, it's important for you to be a boy, experience being a boy. If you want to change that, or if you feel like you're not feeling it by any chance, by all means, take it wherever you want to take it. But I personally feel like when you're first born, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, like, that should just be what it is. And it should be up to you if you feel like you're not comfortable in your own skin. Because at the end of the day, we all need to be comfortable with who we are. We need to be comfortable with how we fit in society. And we all need to know that however we feel about ourselves shouldn't be a secret. So if you feel like, you get older, you've been a boy your entire life, and now you want to change your sex, by all means, that's your life. Do what you want to do. But in the beginning stages of life, it's so important to understand like what you are, what you're into, and how your senses channel into that. For boy and girl, it's different. As a boy, it was the norm for a boy to be outside making like mud pies, or taking a magnifying glass, holding it in the sun and burning an ant, or doing something crazy.
Yeah.
For girls, it was mostly like Barbie talking townhouse, My Little Pony, that kind of stuff. And then you have your friends. You probably do like you guys probably play house, or you guys probably do your nails or something. Yeah, I feel like those things are important because not only does it allow you to explore society and explore where you fit in within society, but a childhood is something that you always remember. So if it's something that was the norm, or something that you were expected to go through or grow up as, I feel like that's not something that a parent should change. As a parent, yes, it's your child. Yes, you brought that child into the world, but at the end of the day, it's that child's life. I feel like we shouldn't really be stepping in like that early. Like, for example, like me and you, our school system, growing up in elementary school, there was no such thing as like, I mean, this is why I feel like we could personally say, like, I don't mean to get off topic again, but like, this is why I feel like me and you can personally relate to people who kind of say they don't see color. Because when we were in elementary school, it was just all of us as one. We all used to play together. We all knew each other's names. We could all hang out at each other's houses. Like, we literally did not see color in the beginning. But then when, like, as we got older, we got split into different levels, within high school, whatever. That's when we started to kind of like realize what was going on, and then we switched up as a result. Like, it's not our fault, it's what society did to us. For you to do that to a kid, for you to do that to a baby, I feel like that's sick. Like, that's not something that a baby needs to go through, and that's not something that you should be doing to a baby just because it's your minor or your kid. I feel like you need to let that individual grow up and go through the phases. Because imagine if we were born, we were raised as babies, we went to elementary school, and then somebody was like, "Oh, Eric, you're black. What are you doing on this side of the playground? Like, you need to go over there. Like, you're in level 2. I'm in level 4. What are you doing?" It's like, if that was something that we grew up on, it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be right, and we would be messed up. But I don't know. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting topic. I didn't know what a Theyby was until you brought this up. But I think that you just like ask a lot of really pressing questions, because it's like, why would you like? It's one thing with leveling in school, level 2, 3, 4, honors, AP, all that stuff, and you see how that affects some people. I'm a big believer in the self-fulfilling prophecy. For those who don't know, the self-fulfilling prophecy is when somebody tells you something for long enough, you're going to believe it. That's like if your parents calling you stupid, you're going to grow up thinking like, oh man, like I'm stupid. So you could have ended up in going for, because you don't get. I mean, there's NJ Ask, I think, for in New Jersey students. You take that up until like 5th grade, I believe, and you don't get put into a level until 6th grade. So from
Yeah.
K to 5, you're just mixed in. I don't know how they do it, but you're mixed into a class, and that's your class from different learning levels and all that. And then 6th grade, that's when you're in level 2, which is below average, 3 average, 4 is honors, and then 5 essentially is AP. So, you see how that affects people. So I wouldn't think that should happen to a baby, because it's like, I mean, trust me, I get it. I took some like classes that were about like marketing and stuff like that when I was in college, and it focused on like the many different gender roles that are out there. Now, I do think it's wrong to assume gender roles like, oh, because you're a boy, you're supposed to be doing this, that, and the third, and because you're a girl, you're supposed to be doing this, that, and the third. Just because that's what's common doesn't necessarily make it right. But I think you still, if a boy is born, don't just like keep it a secret, so to speak, about what he is. Same thing with a girl. Let them grow up and realize, okay, I am this sex, and these are the expectations for this sex based off of society, but I'm going to take it to a different notch, and I'm going to do what makes me happy. Whether they want to change their sex, that's totally fine. Or they just want to do things that makes them happy, that may make others think that it's, not normal. But at the end of the day, you're the only person that's going to be living with you until you meet your maker. So you need to do what's best for you in order for you to be happy and get through life as happily as you possibly could. So don't be like keeping it a secret from them, because then that's kind of like making their start time later. You're delaying when they have to accept being a boy. Like it's a thing in social psychology too. We talked about in college, where it's like, you get associated with differently. And obviously with gender reveals, it's blue if it's a boy, pink if it's a girl, and seeing those things and what they wear and all that type of stuff. So like that gives them a head start to be like, okay, once you get older, you're more conscious of who you are, what sex you belong to, and you get comfortable in your own skin. But if you're not going to tell them till they're like 4, you're putting them 4 years behind schedule for when they're supposed to be familiar with who they are as a person. So that, that's all I had to say on that, but it's a very interesting topic. You have anything else you want to say? Or do you want me to go to my topic?
I mean, just to add to it, just a quick add to it. It's like, it's literally, I mean, growing up it's a process. Like when you're in 2nd grade and the teacher yells at you for cutting the line, that's a learning process for you. Hey, I can't be cutting the line because everyone else is waiting to use the bathroom. Everyone's waiting to go to the same place that I'm trying to go to. So it's like, there's so much going on when you're growing up. There's so much stuff to learn and understand that it's like, if you have to worry about like, hey, am I going in the right bathroom, or like, is this the right thing to do, or like, it's just, you don't want to mix that confusion with someone getting ready to learn everything else about life and learn every other lesson that they need to learn while they're a minor or while they're a teenager. So it goes back and forth. That's all I have to add to it, though.
Yeah. Just one quick thing. Just sorry to make it long, but to extend to that, where it's like, life is complex enough. Like, don't make it more complex for a person by not telling them what they are until they're 4 years old. And then not only that, but it's just like, let them be what they want to be. And you can loosely, I would say, this is an example of going to an extreme to make sure that they don't just feel uncomfortable about gender roles. I think you can loosely do this same thing by letting them be the boy, letting them be the girl that they are. And as you get older, educate them about things that the average people don't educate their kid about. So that way they're realizing, okay, this is what's expected, but not necessarily what is needed to be a girl, what it means to be a girl, or what it means to be a boy, So I think you can loosely do that too by just educating them and being a present parent that's knowledgeable, so that way they're cognizant of the world in society that they're growing up into.
That's true.
So from mine, I want to talk about pyramid schemes. I don't know if you've ever been tried, people ever attempted to get you on, but it's just a wild thing, man. It's something 3 times in my life, people have tried to give me pyramid schemes, and I just want to say, like, it's disappointing because it's almost always someone that's trying to get you. So it's like, wow, like, your morals is off. Like, why would you do me like that? The second thing is that, to me, it's insulting to your intelligence, because it's like, if it was that easy to make money the way that they're talking about making money, then everyone would be doing it. Who would be working a 9 to 5 if it was that easy to just make quick money like this? And they almost always have like a presentation ready for you to show, like, oh, look at this person, they're doing this, and they drive this Maserati. And it's like, how did they get that Maserati? Like, and is that even theirs? Are they renting it for the weekend? Like, I would say this is kind of embarrassing for me, but one time I was fresh out of college, And this is, I think, the most recent. No, the second to last most recent time that someone tried to give me a pyramid scheme. And the dude framed it so well that he had it seeming like a job opportunity that was like legit, like to the point where I think it was, I want to say out in East Rutherford. He had me meet like, it was like in a hotel lobby. I didn't know it was a hotel lobby. He was just talking about meeting at like some conference center or whatnot. He like put the address and everything. We had legit emails going back and forth. And like, so I come with my resume, like I'm all suited up and everything. And then when he started talking about like, if you just get like someone to join under you, and I'm like, oh man, like you talking about someone joining under me, like you really got me. Like I wasted gas money coming out here for this. Like I was so tight because it seemed legit until I realized we were sitting at like a table from like when you walk in like a Hilton hotel, and I'm like, this isn't legit. You know, I mean that alone told me it was weird. But then hearing that, if you just get a certain amount of people under you, I'm like, oh man, like come on, like that's just like it's disrespectful, I think. And I'm thankful it's been a few years since somebody tried to get me, but I always think it's insulting. But what do you think about them?
I feel like pyramid schemes they need to be regulated. Like someone needs to step in and put an end to them. Because it's something that targets like younger adults more than older adults. Because me, I'm at the point now where it's like if I see a video and someone's like, hey, Tim over here, he has a Lamborghini, Tim has 5 houses, Tim has been doing really good in real estate, but I'm like, your name is Robert, what are you doing? Why do you have that hoopty outside your hubcaps? Like what's going on? Like, and then I skip through the video. I see him bring out like a freaking a notebook and then a notepad, and he starts doing a little presentation about Tim's life, and I'm over it, you know, because
as you get obsessed with Tim.
Yeah, because as you get older, you start noticing stuff. You start noticing trends. It's like me. I had an experience just like the one that you had, where I had to drive all the way to North Brunswick, which was a crazy drive for me. Only to like same thing that happened to you. You get to this hotel. This guy's doing this presentation where he's talking about this organic product or this organic infrastructure, and then he's saying how
I know you was tight.
Yeah, I was ready to leave, but I was like, let me not be disrespectful. I had my resume in my hand, same thing. And then we get this group of Indians who just walk across the stage talking about what school they went to, their accomplishments. Like that was going on for like 25 minutes. And then after that, they started shaking my hand. And then they're like, yeah, if you come to the next meeting, we'll get you all taken care of. But you have to make sure eventually you're going to get people under you, et cetera, et cetera. Make a long story short, as soon as I left there, that was the last time I ever saw those people. They texted me. They did what they had to do. I told them straight up, like, I don't want to be rude, but like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. Like, I could have been on Udemy.com looking up something else and getting a certification instead of wasting my time going there. But to prove the point, pyramid schemes, they just need to go. They're not needed. I don't need someone messaging me on Facebook at 2 a.m. asking me what's my Cash App and like how if I'm trying to flip some money. Because it's a waste of time. Number one, it doesn't make sense, and I feel like it's kind of ruining the lives of young adults that are just trying to like start their lives. Like for example, when we graduated from high school, I don't know if you remember, but there were a bunch of people passing out packets to try to make it seem like it was like an official first job, but it was literally a pyramid scheme that they were trying to sign us up for. So like,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember that because I couldn't believe it. It's like you see a group of young people and you're literally trying to target them. Like our primary
focus. That's who they prey on.
Yeah, our primary focus was like going to college. Like me when I graduated from high school, my mindset was literally go to college, get a banging job, start making some money for like 2 years, and then cop a Lambo. Like that was my mind. That was my mindset then, which is super vulnerable and super young, like, because like when you're young, that's how you think. You think you're gonna be 19 forever. You think you're gonna get the 5 series before anyone else does. You know, so
you want to take the shortcuts.
Like, yeah, your whole ideology on life is different. Because I don't know if you remember. Also, I don't mean to get off topic again, but like when our generation first graduated from college, everyone who already was in like a big organization started complaining because they were just like, I don't get why these kids feel like as soon just because they have a degree, they could just go to the superior level, you know? But it just goes to show, like, with age comes stuff like that. And the fact that they're preying on young adults because they know that the vision of a young adult is driving a Lambo or being like their favorite rapper or being like their favorite mentor. It's like for them to do stuff like that is sick. And I feel like it needs to be regulated. It's 2021. I don't need to hear about Tim getting a Lambo or Tim getting 5 pieces of property. Like if I'm not hearing it from Tim, I don't want to hear it, and I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And And I'm gonna speak for everyone who's in their 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, or even 19. Like, no, just don't do it. Like, your time is
Tim is not credible. It's the moral of the story.
Yeah, don't be scared to say no. Like, that's all I have to say. Don't be scared to say no. Don't be scared to speak your mind. If someone is coming to you with something like that, no matter how good it sounds, you literally have the right to say no, I'm good. And I think you should just say no, I'm good. That's it.
Yep. Totally agree with everything you said. So with that, I want to close out season 2, episode 7 of the What You Thinking podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Vince.
And we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned.